Daddy Mac. Dan's 30 years got our way, trading life and markets every day. Rusty's chained to the mines, digging deep day by day. But when Option Omega releases new features, he's free to come out and play. Option Omega, you're trading home, where every move makes you feel less alone.
Morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Shout out to someone in the chat, whoever can say it first, without, here's the key. It's on good faith. Without going back and looking at other videos. This is impossible now that I say this. What brand of shoe does Troy play basketball in? Since he was a little kid.
I don't even know this. I have a guess.
Wow.
We'll circle back around to it in the chat.
Did you see it in the video? I mean,
I just noticed. I was just watching. You can see it in the video.
Does it start with the letter N?
Yes.
Yeah, you got to track it to LeBron. If you track it, whatever. See, I'm thinking.
But Dan, I'm throwing you off the loop. I'm throwing you off.
I as soon as you said that, the first thing that popped into my head was New Balance. Before you said anything,
Matt wins. Matt wins. Listen,
I've never looked. I don't look at shoes. I don't look at shoes at all. I just thought this is Troy's shoe brand.
Yeah, my grandpa told me something when I was young, and it changed my life. And I remember as a 10-year-old, I was a weird 10-year-old, as you can imagine. That I would think about shoe deals when I was a kid. Like, what would your shoe deal be?
That's you have to be. If you had the opportunity, Troy, you would have been ready with an answer.
I would have said, I'm the one that's gonna bring New Balance to the kids, because New Balance is seen as a dad shoe. As a kid, my grandpa taught me, he said, do you want to care about style, or do you want to care about comfort? And I said, sir, I want to care about comfort. And he said, then you're a New Balance man. And I said, yes, sir.
Wow.
And I've always worn New Balances. I love New Balance. Shout out New Balance. If anybody wants to sponsor the show.
Balance. Made in a lot of them. Now, not all of them. I did a deep dive on this a long time ago. Not all of them are made in America, but they still make more shoes in America than, I think they might be the most American made shoe. So Troy's shopping local is all I'm saying. This is no hate if you're not American. I'm just saying we are kind of localists to a degree.
No, if you're from Indonesia, buy an Indonesian shoe. If you're from China, buy a Chinese shoe. Like, I love that. If you're from Tennessee, buy an American shoe if you can. Now, good luck.
Yeah.
Because a lot of Americans don't make shoes.
Well, and the other reason for New Balance, and I would get ASICS. Is that it? ASICS. Mainly I got them because my wife would always go to Kohl's and get because they're wide. You have the wider shoe. A lot of the brands didn't have it, but New Balance had it, and ASICS. And you're right, they're very comfortable. But I also, when you're older, there was something psychologically about, grew up on Chuck Taylors and all the Converse. And back, I'm older, back then, it'd be $12, $13 a pair. Right now, I know it's gone up a little bit from $12, $13. I don't know what are Chuck Taylors?
About 50, 60, 50, 60. Last time I checked.
Yeah, but I think people over 60, like I am, when you look at gym shoes, there's a psychological barrier because they haven't gone there to spend $150 on a pair of gym shoes unless you're in a basketball league. I was amazed. I went when I was visiting my daughter and her husband, 20s, big hooper like Troy. I mean, he's a hooper. But what I noticed is when we would go to like leagues and stuff, when we were playing leagues, and even in the 30s or 40s, I'd wear the same pair I was going to play in, right? It was no big deal. It's like, let's go, let's play. Every guy I watched, and my mouth was open, they'd wear nice gym shoes to the game, but then they have the special bag with these are gorgeous gym shoes. And these guys, half of them couldn't play, but they would take out beautiful pair of gym shoes. And they're like a couple $100. I'm like, psychologically, we just couldn't do it. I don't know. I mean, what would you say if you're a hooper, guys, in high school? What do they what does an average pair of shoes cost?
Oh, mid hundreds probably.
Oh, I think there's 300. I think people have 300 shoes.
Yeah, and they're getting. I mean, Jordans are still popular, but they all the different. You know, it's become a bespoke market, so they'll buy a certain shoe with a certain version with a certain style. So, I mean, they do that even now with like walking shoes. It's like I have to buy these Brooks shoes because they don't stretch my Achilles and like the Brooks Ghost. And it's like the Brooks Ghost 13 GTX Max Extra. I'm like, it's just got to be a Brooks Ghost. I hope this is the right one. With that. Speaking of, you know, Option Omega is, I mean, Troy, to circle back on this conversation, if Nike, who I think owns Chuck Taylor, comes to us with a sponsorship agreement, we're all ears. And there's other brands that we love at Option Omega. So, I mean, if like, I love this Duke Cannon, like I have to keep my lip, you know, chap. Duke Cannon, a sponsorship agreement, you know, reach out. Nike, we're ready. Troy's ready for the phone call.
Oh, it's one of my favorite things in the world, guys.
If they call.
Besides trading options, I love wearing my New Balance shoes. I love smoking Axiom cigars. I love Lefroy Scotch.
Yeah.
We love so many things. And if you're listening,
shout out any of those executives. We're ready. We will promote you on the show.
Yeah,
we can move over into food too, like chocolate chip cookies or something.
Oh yeah, Diet Coke. Diet Coke. Or Diet Dr. Pepper.
And I think they have a lot of opportunity for growth if they use us as well. Because I mean, tens of people are watching right now.
Tens of people are watching.
I think those are great. Listen, my thing is I'll finish this point. New Balance is my go-to. One of my favorite things, Dan, to your point, was in that world. I just looked it up. I found a picture. I'm not going to post it. I have a picture of 15 years ago.
Yeah.
You know, in my 20s, hooping. And one of my favorite things to do as an adult is pull up in Chuck Taylor's and just teach everybody, because there's just a thing of like, clearly it's not a good shoe compared to every other shoe. And I'm really torn. I really love playing in Chuck Taylor's. Some of my best basketball I've ever played has been in Chuck Taylor's. I got to the point as I got older, like I have almost broke my ankle so many times playing in Chuck Taylor's. Like there is no support.
But you know, if somebody, but Troy, don't you know, if somebody shows up at the park or the YMCA with Chuck Taylor's, it tells you about their game. They're going to be gritty. They'll play a little bit of defense. They're going to be old school a little bit. I want him on my team, someone with Chuck Taylor's, because it says something about his character a little bit.
Yeah, that's right. It's the closest thing I can do to showing up as Larry Bird.
Charlie Hustle.
Yeah, listen, Ardberg is really, really good, David. We will have a scotch off one day.
We're going to have a shoe off too. Apparently the chat's really interested in the shoes, and just maybe to put a bullet point on this, Troy, we're told that in parts of Europe, New Balance is worn by hooligans.
I love it.
I mean, that's another reason why you could guess New Balance. When you think of Troy, you think of
hooligan.
You think of, you know, like a mid-90s crime, low-budget indie film that everybody watches in college. And you think of Hooligan, you think of Troy. Those things go together. So
when you think of Troy, you think of like a film that like your friends said was really deep, and so you had to pretend to like it. And then as you get older, everyone kind of acknowledges like that kind of sucked. It wasn't good. We just kind of thought it was cool for a moment. Anyway, so here we go. Lefroy, Ardberg, anything from Isla wins. Anything with Pete in it wins. That's the answer. And we're moving on. So here we go. So we have continuing the small account challenge, except for we've moved on to a little bit to automating some of this. And we did our first automation yesterday with the small account challenge using the new Option Omega automation that launched Friday. So you can now backtest and then automate a trade. Huge news, big deal. It's a game changer.
Big news.
We feel good about it.
Yeah.
And so what I'm going to look at today real quick is, first off, as I said we'd do, let's review how we're looking from our Matt's Monday trade. So got to get back to my screen here.
We got to come up with a better name, by the way.
No,
I did not come up with
right
this
or
trade.
die.
This
Listen,
trade
you're
is
right or die.
ancient.
This is right or
It's
die.
certainly not magic.
I wanted people to. I want people to. I want it to be on billboards. People putting Matt's
Please
magic
don't.
trade. Now I do want to apologize to Matt, because Matt tried to help me yesterday, and I shrugged him off.
I did.
And
I shrugged him.
I don't
I'll
remember this.
So I'll tell you why here in a second, but it's not a bit. It's a heartfelt apology, but it's not a big deal. But he tried to help me with something, and I screwed up. So here we go. What is this trade? This is the trade we put on yesterday. This is a Monday double calendar put on at 3:05 p.m.
The Manic Monday trade.
Manic Monday trade.
Manic Monday.
We can change the name of it. We'll change the name of it. And so you exit the trade the day of. Matt, do you know that question, Pilot?
What's the question? I don't understand what you're asking. Is the first exit still active or need to be removed? Right now, the way that this strategy works is it's a 2-4. It was put on yesterday. So the shorts will expire on Wednesday. And before the shorts expire, the trade will exit at 2:45. If before that, one of the leg deltas is breached per the user input leg deltas, then the trade will also exit. So those exits, those conditions exist simultaneously. I think that answers your question. I'm not sure if that's what you were asking, but
yeah,
it functions the same way on the automation platform as it does in the backtester. So
yeah,
it's the same
and
thing.
So we close the prices, and this is where Matt's just all he does is, at this point, shout out Matt, is help people get on the automation platform. So he knows this. He knows this platform really well. Matt, correct me if I'm wrong. This print is from 4:15 yesterday. Yeah,
it's a close price at the end of the day. So
yeah. So we're going to see how it opens. Obviously we'll report back tomorrow. It'll be a different thing. But as you can see, we put it on yesterday at 3:05. It went on exactly as expected.
Yeah. Can you show the activity log with debug on? Sorry, the reason I'm interrupting is the most important tool to diagnose, if you want to know kind of what happened, is the debug log. And if you click on the activity, you can see exactly. So it did take several iterations of this to fill. So it tried to fill at 274. It ended up filling at 278, and you can see it step through that. That is all user configurable. So you can see it was routed a couple seconds after the top of the minute at 3:05, and then it iterated until it filled, and it per the user settings, it filled within 20 seconds of when the order went live, and that's because it iterated several times. Now, this is totally user configurable. So Troy could vary it by minute next week. He could vary the deltas, but the user can also change the exit execution settings. So sometimes on a calendar, this is an advice, and it's going to depend on the length of the calendar, the length of the DTE. It might make sense to do a less aggressive entry or a more aggressive entry depending on your calendar. So instead of adjusting, I can't see the adjustment, but it looks like every 5 seconds it was adjusting a penny. You could change that. If you wanted a more relaxed entry, you could do every 15 seconds adjust a penny. So there's a number of ways that can be configured. So there's a lot of flexibility. Something else, the user can also offset. It starts at mid, but you can offset from mid. So at the bottom of the entry execution settings, you could do a 1 penny offset if you wanted to start and kind of try to get filled right away. These are all configurable. So, and there's documentation and videos on all this. So
I mean, Qs, I haven't traded a lot of Qs. Would you say Qs are close to SPY with liquidity, Matt and Troy?
Yeah, in terms of raw liquidity, SPY and Qs are usually 1 and 2. Sometimes SPX is more than Qs, but it's very liquid. And again, the automation platform, it's not magic, it's automation.
Yeah.
So if you traded this kind of trade naturally, like normally without automation, most people just start doing the trade in the automation platform the way they would do it manually. So if you don't make an adjustment, then you can set up the platform to not make an adjustment. Like there's just a lot of ways to dial it in. And that's, like I said yesterday, after watching people do this for several months now, a goodly number of people, the learning curve with automation and adjusting the entry execution settings, there is a learning curve. It's also nothing like the learning curve from what I've seen, it's nothing like near the learning curve that people have when they learn how to backtest and how to properly use the Punisher and all that. And if you're experienced at the optional Omega backtester, the automation platform should be it's designed to be a very natural transition. So
hey, Matt, real quick on the execution, and Troy,
yeah,
if you're in a liquid vehicle like Qs or SPY, my thought would be, and I don't know how it tests, but my initial inclination without looking at the data would be, if I'm in SPY or what do you call it? QQQ, I would start it at the mid. I mean, in SPX, there is no mid price. I mean, let's get that straight, because it's moving too much. There's a mid range. There actually is a mid price in Qs. They move a lot slower, or SPY. So my initial thing would be maybe start. I would just at mid, and then maybe 15-second increments instead of 5 here, just to see how that tests. Just because they are such good liquidity, the SPY/SPX. But I would do, SPX, I might go the 5-second thing or a little less, but I would play with it. But I mean, SPY, that's a pretty, SPY and Qs, mid price is fine. And 15 seconds isn't that big a deal anyways, right?
I mean, I would say that is going to be strategy dependent, because if you're talking about a relaxed calendar entry, 15 seconds is one thing. For people doing condors that are, low delta condors with tight stop losses, 15 seconds is an eternity. So, yeah. So, I mean, I would just say but the platform set up, it's very flexible. So like this QQQ strategy does not have a stop loss. The exit is a time exit, and it has a rail for a delta exit. So that's it. So there's no dialing in of a stop loss or deciding broker resting on a single leg stop loss or a spread stop loss or a spread stop loss that may convert to market. Like there's all these ways to dial it in. This one is just, it's not that complicated. It's more simple. So there's a lot of things you can do with this. Troy already showed the activity log, but the activity log and then turn the debug on will give you the quick self-diagnostic of what happened, how did this enter, what settings do I want to adjust for the future. So it will kind of it's the first step in understanding how an automation behaved. And I would just say, again, anecdotally, personally, the first couple times I've traded different styles of trade, I've looked at the activity log, and then honestly, I haven't spent much time beyond like 1 or maybe 2 adjustments to the exit execution settings and maybe a starting offset something, again, this is not advice, it's just what we've seen, but like if you're trying to get filled on something very aggressively, people throw a starting offset on there. Like if they're trying to catch an orb, which is a breakout trade, they might throw a starting offset on there. Or if they really want to get filled at a condor at a certain price, they might throw a negative offset on there. It's a short condor, or a positive offset, a long condor. I mean, there's a lot of, that's all going to be strategy dependent, but again, it's very configurable. So Troy, what was the experience like? Were you watching this fill? Were you watching it? Were you watching it trade?
I put on like 20 trades yesterday, and I TTBT.
There you go.
To an extent.
To an extent. Here we go.
I will say personally, you guys might have guessed this already. I absolutely hate selling premium, and I know that's how most people make money in options. I hate selling premium, but I have some premium selling strategies, and this is confession time. If my credit spread gets to like 90% profit, I will take it off. You can do that in automation. It's a manual user exit.
Yeah.
I just don't like riding to expiration unless it just blew past. If it were like 50 points past, I'm going to keep it going. But like if 10 points is going to affect that going into 3 p.m., I'll take that off, and I'm okay with that. But with double calendars, I'm a TDBT for sure.
What's TDBT? TB?
Dan, glad you asked. It's trust the backtest.
Okay, I should know this. I know the words trust the backtest, but you threw me off with the initials.
Well, and then if it says you're down 30 to 40%, you move into phase 2, which is TTFBT, and I'll let you figure out what the F is.
Wow.
But anyway.
Wow.
So moving on.
Real quick, Troy, what I like on this thing, so you can, not that you want to mess with it, but you can pull this up any hour of the day today and immediately see what your live P&L is. Correct?
Yeah. And honestly, I mean, I keep my brokerage up. This is how I do it. I keep my brokerage up because there's no unwise thing in keeping your brokerage up. I mean, there's no harm in that. But what I try to do mentally is I try to just look at the live tab. I'm not going to show you the live tab because I've got some other trades that I don't want to show you guys. This is a YouTube show.
Fair.
But the live tab, if you go trade and you go basically here, you can see all of your strategies throughout the day. It will show you, and it'll show you updating. It'll show you when you take them off. It'll show the profit and all that stuff. So yeah, I mean, we built it because we use it like anything we do. It's called eating your own dog food. We eat it. We're the big dogs eat our own food. So, but here's where I get into the apology. Let's move on to Matt, a public apology.
I have no idea what's coming.
So here we go. We're going to move on to automate the next trade, and this is the next trade. If you remember the Tuesday 1-3. Okay. Now this is going to be put on in 25 minutes if I automate it, and it's a 25 delta, 15 delta. Go back and look at past shows if you want to see this. In fact, I think we have some specific videos. I think on YouTube you can look at this. But anyway, you're putting it on 935. We're doing one lot because the challenge. And here comes the apology. I'm 6'2". I'm a tall guy. But yesterday I acted like a little Napoleon because Matt tried to help me by saying, maybe you'll want to do a one lot for this. And I said, I'm going to do 10. Now, I'm actually fine with that. 10, like I can handle that. Just, not to talk my book too much, but I can handle 10 QDCs. But what I don't want to do is in a couple days when we automate the RIC, the reverse iron colander, I don't want to do 10 QQQ RICs. That's not my style. And so to keep it same, I'm going to go back and change the other one to 1. And we're going to do one lots. This was a small account challenge. So public apology to Matt. I was a little Napoleon, a little short person complex. I let my pride get in the middle of it. I'm sorry, Matt.
Okay. 3 things. First of all, you don't need to apologize. I still don't really, it's fine. The apology accepted, but unneeded. Second of all, pretty sure that the Napoleon movie was one of the biggest disappointments in cinema in the last
It's a
couple
terrible
years.
movie. Terrible movie.
Third, also pretty confident that the Napoleon short thing, and I have a little tiny bit of heritage, so I'm sympathetic to it, was mostly British propaganda. Like he actually wasn't that short for his time.
Well,
Like,
I agree.
that is the empire doing a very good job of propaganda.
That's the
So-
well, agree. I will counter that with the apology is sincere. We will go to one lots. Two, I agree that Napoleon was probably average height for a little Frenchman. Point three, and you see this a lot in theology. The winners get to write the history.
It's true.
It's a good point. Good point.
Winners get to write the history.
I mean, Napoleon's military record is pretty much unparalleled, though.
Well,
I mean, you have to say.
Listen, guys, listen. This is
pretty good.
important. This is important. I know this is an option show, but this is important for everybody who loves history. I was just thinking about this with Hannibal and him crossing the Alps, thinking about this. Some of the most lavish praise you'll ever hear about Hannibal is from the people who defeated him, which in of itself is a propaganda thing. Because you always grow up thinking Napoleon's a genius, but he lost to the British. How good were the British? Well, who said he's a genius? The British.
Yeah.
And that's part of it too. Is to say that it makes you that much better. I mean, Michael Jordan is an amazing basketball player. One of the top two players.
The GOAT.
Be very careful. Be very careful.
One of the top two players of all time. That how much more amazing is it that LeBron could be better than that? And that's in my mind.
So amazing, it's not possible.
Anyways,
thank you, Matt. Thank you.
So all right.
And shout out to Hannibal. And if you want to learn more about Hannibal, a podcast we'd love to cross over with, The Rest is History. Just did a 2-part on Hannibal. Tom Holland, not Spider-Man, but the famous historian. Tom, give us a call. We'll be happy to come on the show, talk about the history of retail options.
Absolutely.
24 months.
If you guys like history, I'm listen, just a free shout out. The Rest is History podcast. This is my schedule, literally. My wife laughs at me. They have new shows that come out every Sunday night on their podcast, and I will download it and I will go driving for 3 to 4 hours every Sunday night and listen to the podcast. That's my schedule. That's what I do.
Yeah, and they just this Hannibal episode. It's a 2-parter. I think it was a 2-part.
Four-parter.
Okay, I'm only on part 2, but Hamilcar Barker, his father, many of the other Hamilcars in ancient. They talk about how common a name is. It's a great listen, guys. And Tom Holland, when you catch up on your options show, your options education, we're ready for a crossover Rest is History OO show.
Jamal, I'm going to ask you to leave the chat unless you're talking about Michael Jackson.
Jamal, you can stay.
We'll move on. All right, so here we go. We're going to automate this. So like yesterday, we got this Tuesday 1/3, 1/3. I'm going to make this active because I want to trade it. I'm going to put it in my account that I want to use it. And I am going to fix this to one contract. Apologies to Matt. Little Napoleon complex. He was not that short. And let's do this. So we're going to go down here. We're going to, everything's the same. I mean, it's just like the backtester. That's the goal of the platform. But the execution is going to be, where you set some custom stuff. Matt, how do you feel about this? For a small account guy, I'm going to increment. Looking at the price action yesterday, I think I had to adjust 4 times, 5 times, 5 cents total to get in. So I'm going to say keep it like that.
Why don't you? Just an idea. What if you invert attempts in seconds? And then here's another idea. You could also change the minute by a minute or two and not tell people what it is, just for a little spice. Might be an idea.
I might do that later.
Maybe on the exit execution, do you want a more aggressive exit as the user?
Yeah,
do you want a more aggressive? So maybe change the interval time a little bit. Maybe go back to 5 and 10 or 4 and 12. I don't know. Just
I'll do
an
that.
idea. Just an
I'll do-
idea.
I'll do that. So here we go. Did I put one on there?
Yeah,
One
you
touch?
just did.
Yep.
Cute.
One touch.
Did you want to move conflicted strikes? Do you have conflicted strikes?
I do want to move conflicted strikes. Thank you.
There you go.
I always, that is
Idea.
going to be honest, that's one I always forget.
And do you want to put 2 minutes for enter execution window? Sorry. Maybe.
2 minutes?
Yeah. It just, if you really want to get in the trade. And then again, I would say maybe off the show, change the exit time by a couple minutes or two.
Yeah. Yeah.
We'll see.
Or keep it the exact same and let show Bloomberg. And,
your one contract move in the market.
My one contract is moving the market. So anyway.
Hey, can I ask a quick question, Troy?
Yeah.
Matt?
Yeah.
Just something that popped in. So obviously this trade where you're doing a 25 delta in the puts and 15 delta in the call, what would you say the Greeks were maybe just a little bit long, right, Troy? A little bit long delta, which is great for a long Vega trade. The volatility risk is offset a little bit by the long delta. Just a general question that popped up, at least to me, would be when you're, just as a quick for both of you, when you're mixing the world of, okay, you're doing double calendars, which are positive theta trades, income producing, you can handle a move, and then you start throwing RICs in, right? Which are going to be negative theta.
Yeah.
Negative theta, picking up a little more along Vega, but negative theta from a sizing. How do you look at that? I would obviously tweak my, look at that balance because you have RICs negative theta, double calendars positive theta. How do you look at that collodrum or whatever the word would be?
That's super smart question. Super good question, Matt. Dan, you're Dan. Matt is there too. Again, apologies to Matt. I think that's completely up to the user. I mean, we have a portfolio feature, and maybe we'll do it once I'm going to automate that. I'm doing reverse order. After I'm already trading these, we'll go back and look at the portfolio and size it, because to the point of why I don't want to do 10 RICs is I personally, if I'm looking at small account challenge, don't take option, not financial advice. If I had 5,000 in my account and I'm going to try to do this, I would be completely fine upping the DCs maybe to a 3 to 5 to 1 ratio. So 3 to 5 DCs on for 1 RIC. That'd be my guess.
That'd
be my guess is now, and same thing when we're doing, like, we're looking at I don't even remember what our premium selling ones we had on, maybe flies or something like that. We'll look at that next week. That to me would be smaller. I would not I put more DCs on than premium selling, but that's me. Again, that's personally, I know people who are scared to death of double calendars. They have no problem putting on 20 iron condors.
But when that's just Troy, in the world of to me, the names, at least to me, that when you say premium selling, to me, I get it. Maybe there's an official definition, right, of premium selling. But to me, double calendars are premium selling because because I'm selling more. Obviously I get it. I'm buying more extrinsic value than I'm selling in a double calendar, but my shorts are decaying much quicker. So to me, I kind of draw the line by the theta, right? They're both, I'm a positive theta. We're positive theta folk. Positive theta, whether you do an iron condor, which is a credit transaction, positive theta. Double calendar is a positive theta. Now, I know people get debit, credit can get a little bit, but at least for me, it's easier to understand just, is it positive theta or not, right? Yes, positive theta. Now, is there still volatility considerations? Yeah, but positive theta is the key. And, but anyways, I
think that's super. No, I think that's the right way to look at it. I know people. I have a good friend of mine who knows all this, knows options forward and backwards, but he hates selling premium worse than I do. Yeah. But what he means by that is technically wrong. You are technically right, but I understand what he's saying, and that he would rather, it's a question of debit trades versus credit trades. to him. He would rather, even positive theta strategies, he would rather buy a debit that's positive theta than sell a credit.
Is it because of the risk reward, you think? Because usually debit trades, you associate calendars, double calendars, the risk reward, the yin and the yang, it makes more sense. When you think of credit transactions generally, iron condors, you're thinking stinky risk reward. So, but yeah, that might, just thinking out loud on that. Yeah.
I'm unmuting and muting as I talk. I think you're right on. I think that's the right way to look at it. I guess when you're getting deep into the Greeks, some of these shorter term Greeks, theoretically, they're not long theta. If you look at like the graph, because Black-Scholes, just like if you do a 1-2, a lot of times, depending on where the strikes are, they won't show a positive theta on that trade.
Right. And it's absolutely in the graph, because if you're looking at a 20 delta DC, like a 1-3, the way the curve, you almost can't look at the T+0 that says you're negative. The theta is a little weird on that, because that's if you look at a 20 delta 1-3 or a 2-4, whatever, it's going to show you negative theta because the 0 is almost under, it's sagging. You agree? Yeah,
that's exactly right.
That's a good point.
Yeah. So listen, we're in it now. We've got another one. We are continuing this. We're building out a portfolio of small accounts, and it doesn't look like we're doing anything, but in a week, we're going to have some trades that are trading to where a small account person could look at this, build out a portfolio of trades. And then the fun part begins, because like all of us who are trading this, you have an automation that's opening, up to 100 trades a day. And you can see, and we'll talk more about so much good material to talk about in the coming weeks, because, there's a bunch of different ways to look at how do you size this stuff. There's portfolio analyzers out there. There's so many ways to do it. Another way you can do it is by getting a tool to graph out all your trades that are on. This takes some manual work, and then look at the Greeks throughout the day. So if you find yourself and you say, I've got 5 credit selling, I've got 5 condor strategies, 5 put creds strategies, 5 DCs, and 5 RICs, and they're all on at the same time, what do I do? Well, the way you look at that is just how Dan would have done it on the floor in Chicago. You have to do it by the Greeks. You have to. One of the best things I'd ever heard from Dan is a class he did called Managing by the Greeks. Shout out Sheridan Risk Management. You can go look at that course, I believe, online. But the way he puts it, and he's here right now, he could say it, but I'm not even letting him talk. I'm just talking for him. All the things I'm over-explaining. I'm mansplaining Dan, as they say. But Dan, I mean, you would say the thing is, it's like you don't, like when you fly a small plane, you can see it, right? When you first get your license, you have to stay at a certain height because you have to be able to see. Well, your next step in your license is to get an instrument license.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where you can fly higher because you don't need visibility. You're able to fly without visibility. And that's what Managing by the Greeks is, in my mind, is
absolutely
being able to see the instruments.
And real quick, if it's as you're building, like Troy said, he did 20 trades yesterday. To make sure the plane is going in the right direction, I think it's good always to see at least once a day or once every 3 days, take a peek at, okay, what are my net? I've got these 20 trades. How does it look like from a volatility and a delta, especially? Is the plane too tilted? Am I massively short deltas in long Vega, which could be a massive problem if we go up a lot? And I think those are key. I mean, when I'm doing trades, if I have, multiple trades in SPX, each trade I'm looking, okay, I'm short delta. Maybe I want something a little long delta. So at least look at the big, if you have 10 different positions, I think it's really important just to see, if the vols are real low and you're short a lot of Vega, and those are a little more complicated things, but that portfolio view of which options Omega has stuff like that, I think is real important.
Well, we continue on. We'll We'll trade. We'll test.
Market
talk.
is down 5 in 5
Market-
points.
Market's in turmoil.
Go
All
right, guys.
Rangers.
Picks up 5 cents.
Well, listen, guys, have a great rest of your day. We'll be back tomorrow with more ideas, more automation, and we'll talk soon.